Good evening, I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with your First Alert streaming show. We do one of these every night at 9 and we have a lot to talk about tonight. Let me get the Facebook video pulled up on my phone really quickly so I can see your comments as they come in. Good evening, Laura, watching from Dawson Springs. We appreciate you. William had a little more than a half inch in his gauge by Bosse Field yesterday. Good to know. Heavy rain has been a problem, and so has heat all weekend long and into even last week, and that's not going to change. We are still on alert tonight into Monday for thunderstorms that may be capable of producing some damaging winds and flash flooding, but then we stay on alert from Monday all the way through next weekend as this dangerous heat wave continues across the region. So let's start by talking about the risk for storms tonight. There is a severe thunderstorm watch that includes Edwards, Wabash, Gibson, Pike, and DuBois counties. So just sort of the northern stretch of the tri-state there north of I-64 with the exception of Wayne County. That thunderstorm watch goes until midnight tonight. Then there is a flood watch that includes everyone sort of north of the Ohio River there, the whole northern half of the tri-state included in a flood watch. That's not just for tonight, that's for tonight and all of the day tomorrow. So we've got a couple different rounds of storms possible as we go through tonight and tomorrow. And so that's why we've got this flood watch that goes all the way through the end of the day tomorrow. Right now, most of the tri-state is still dry. These storms we're tracking are off to the north. These have been slowly working their way down, kind of sliding to the southeast there all night long. We were tracking these on 14 News at 5, and they've been just very slowly dipping to the southeast ever since. So they're just now getting right to the edge of the tri-state, and that's what we'll be monitoring as we go through the next couple of hours. They're most likely going to clip mainly the northeastern corner of the tri-state, those areas that are currently under the severe thunderstorm watch, and then maybe places like Warwick, Spencer, and Perry counties on off to the east there. But by then, I think those storms would have weakened, which is why right now you're not included in any kind of watch, but you may still get some thunder and some rain as the night goes on. The rain becomes a little more isolated then. This is brand new model data that just came in, and it's changing up the timing on us. So I'm not really sure whether to believe this or believe what it was saying earlier today, but you need to be prepared that we could have a pocket of heavy rain basically at any point during the day on Monday, because the earlier model data was showing fairly widespread rain tomorrow morning. This is really backing off of that and has fairly isolated rain chances tomorrow morning. Then it brings the more widespread rain in through the middle of the day tomorrow, which is when earlier today it was saying it would be dry. And some of the other models are still sticking with that idea of rain in the morning, dry in the middle of the day. This one showing dry in the morning, rain in the middle of the day. So again, these storms have been hard to predict. A lot of them have been producing outflow boundaries, which can then trigger additional storms, and the models just have trouble handling something like that. They like it straightforward. One line, one cold front, it sweeps through and we're done. When it gets real messy like this with multiple rounds and some storms triggering other storms, the models start to lose their grip a little bit, and at that point it comes down to a lot of nowcasting in the moment. So predicting storms a whole day in advance with this kind of a setup does get a bit tricky, but we are expecting thunderstorms at some point throughout the day tomorrow, sometime either in the morning or into the middle of the day. I do still think we'll get a break sometime either in the middle of the day or in the afternoon. So some point during the first half of the day, we'll probably have a round of storms move through, whether that's early in the morning or closer to the middle of the day. Then I think we will get a break in the afternoon, and that's when it's going to get to that kind of weather where the pavement is just steaming, right? We've got the rain has moved through, everything's wet, and now you just feel the humidity like a rainforest out there. That's what we'll be dealing with tomorrow afternoon. Then we could see another round of thunderstorms mainly on the southern end of the tri-state, just kind of popping up tomorrow evening and lingering into Monday night. Then it looks like that rain will probably taper off as we get into Tuesday morning. And Tuesday, along with the rest of the week, is then trending mostly dry. So we're on alert for this flooding and thunderstorm threat tonight and tomorrow, but then beyond that, the focus is really more so on the heat. As for our thunderstorm risk, there is a level 1 risk through the middle part of the tri-state for an isolated strong to severe storm. Again, this area up here where their level 2 risk is, that's also the area that's included in that thunderstorm watch. Again, these storms will most likely be weakening as they swing through our area, but an isolated strong to severe storm certainly possible. And then tomorrow, similar story. We've got this level 1 risk for a large portion of the tri-state where an isolated strong to severe storm is possible. But the main concern with any storms that we see tonight or tomorrow is flooding. We have seen this repeatedly already this week. It is so humid. There is so much moisture in the atmosphere right now that when these storms bubble up, they just tap into all that moisture and it pours. We've had reports of an inch of rain falling in 30 minutes in some places with these storms. So that's something to be very aware of. The most likely threat with any storms that develop is that we're going to see flooding. Not everyone is necessarily going to see flooding because it is kind of scattered, but wherever those downpours set up, you're probably going to have some flooding issues, especially since we've already had flooding problems this week. So everything's already kind of wet and saturated. An isolated damaging wind gust cannot be ruled out though. So the sort of secondary threat would be the possibility for some damaging winds. I wouldn't totally rule out a tornado, but it's unlikely. Really, our risk of hail and tornadoes is very low. The main threat is going to be flooding. Secondary threat would be damaging winds, and that's with any storms we see tonight or throughout the day tomorrow. Before we move on to the heat, let me take a quick check-in of the comments. Jerry says it's thundering in Petersburg. That's that round of storms we're talking about tonight. Some folks are asking about really specific places, asking if that location is going to get damaging winds or if that location will be flooded. And we really won't know until it happens. There is a chance anywhere in the tri-state, but it's hard to know for sure how long these storms will hold together and where exactly they'll track, especially as we get into tomorrow. Those storms don't even exist yet. So where they're going to pop up and where they're going to go is really hard to predict. But really anyone anywhere in the tri-state needs to be prepared for the possibility of flooding as we go through tonight, but even more so into tomorrow. And an isolated damaging wind gust cannot be ruled out, but I don't think that's a widespread threat. Good evening, Nancy and Sergeant. Lacey asking if the severe thunderstorm watch will be extended. I doubt it. It's not my call, but I don't think so. They're already sort of starting to cancel it pretty quickly as other storms roll through, so I'm not anticipating that it'll be extended. Again, some people asking about if Evansville will be flooded. If we get a downpour, sure. But where, I don't know. I mean, just this past week we saw it where the east side of Evansville flooded and the west side didn't. So we could be dealing with another situation like that. It's going to be very, very localized, where you'll have one part of town that just gets inundated and then another part of town where it's totally fine, which is why you also need to be careful and be paying attention if you're going to be on the roads, because you could leave your house and it's totally fine, and halfway to your destination, all of a sudden the sky has opened up, the road is full of water, and you need to really slow down and be careful, or maybe even change the way that you're going. So just be very careful with that. Let's talk a little bit about the heat now, because that's why we remain on alert through the rest of the week, really. Today, our temperatures topped out in the 90s. We had heat index values well into the triple digits, and that's going to be the story through the rest of the week. Even now that the sun has set, we're still sitting in the low to mid 80s in most locations. Flora, Lawrenceville, Washington, kind of the exception way up there on the northern edge of the tri-state where the rain has moved through, sitting in the 70s. It's 84 right now in Evansville. I think we'll probably drop back into the mid to upper 70s by the end of the night tonight. So it's still going to be very warm, very muggy, even with the chance of a few thunderstorms. It'll still hold pretty steady in the 70s then through the rest of the night. Then tomorrow, partly cloudy. I don't think we'll get a ton of sunshine tomorrow, but any sun we get is going to heat things up like that. I mean, it's going to be quick. We have that chance of scattered storms, sort of one more widespread round earlier in the day, probably sometime between the early morning hours and lunchtime. Don't know the exact timing for sure. And then a break in the afternoon, and that's when things are going to heat up. Then we've got another chance of storms Monday evening that I think will be more isolated. But in the afternoon, when the rain has briefly cleared and we maybe get just a peak of sunshine, that is going to just really get, just rainforest steamy out there. We'll have had the rain move through. It'll be that situation where the pavement is kind of steaming, just all around miserable, with temperatures then climbing into maybe the upper 80s. If we get more rain than expected, that could cool us off, but I think many of us will probably break into the low 90s. And when you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel like probably somewhere between 100 and 103 tomorrow afternoon. So very hot, very humid, and it actually gets worse as we go through the rest of the week. Our rain chances go down, but our temperatures go up. So tomorrow we've got that chance of scattered storms. Through the rest of the week, notice that rain is very isolated. There's still a chance every day that we could see one of those isolated pop-up storms in the afternoon, but many of us will stay dry through the rest of the week. Once we get through tomorrow, especially Tuesday through Friday, I think most of us will probably stay dry. But at that point, the heat will really become our main focus. We're talking about heat index values peaking between 102 and 108 every single day this week. And it really looks like the second half of the week is probably going to be the worst of it. So when we talk about the risk of heat-related illnesses, this is a map that kind of indicates your risk level for that. And you'll notice that we're in the orange shade here, this moderate risk of heat-related illness tomorrow and Tuesday. So risky, but not abnormally so. A moderate risk is kind of like the hottest of the summertime kind of typical heat is what we would get. But then as we get into Wednesday, notice that major risk really starts to creep in and then just takes over as we go through Thursday and Friday. So by the end of the week, especially Thursday, Friday, we're talking about a major risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke if you don't take the proper precautions. As we get into the weekend, it backs off just a little bit, but Saturday and Sunday, we're still seeing kind of that mix. We're right on the cusp of a moderate to major heat risk there as well. So through this entire week, really, heat safety needs to be top of mind. Whatever you're doing, keep in mind, we give this advice every time that we're looking at heat advisory criteria, but you really need to be planning ahead now to reschedule any kind of strenuous outdoor activity. Just move it to early in the morning or late in the evening outside of the hottest part of the day. Don't be out there, trying to pull weeds at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in this kind of weather. It's just a recipe for disaster. You're going to overheat and it can get really dangerous really fast. Wear lightweight, light-colored clothing that reflects heat and sunlight. Drink lots of water. This is a big one. And importantly here, even if you don't feel thirsty, by the time you're feeling thirsty, that's your body, putting on the low fuel light. It's telling you, you've already let it get too low. Now I'm sending you signals that I need water. You don't ever want to get to the point that you're thirsty. So instead, just drink water all day long. Just be sipping water continuously throughout the entire day to keep yourself hydrated. So even when you're not thirsty, just be sipping that water to help avoid any risk of dehydration. And don't get too much sun. I know that when we get this kind of hot weather, a lot of folks just flock to the pools to cool down. Do not forget your sunscreen. This time of year, the sun angle is really high. You burn really quickly on a sunny day. But if you get sunburnt, it makes your heat dissipation, your body's ability to regulate its temperature, that much more difficult. Anybody who's ever had a bad sunburn before knows it can almost feel like you have a fever, right? You get the chills and you're kind of hot, and yeah, you don't want to be dealing with that in the middle of what's already a dangerous heat wave. So don't get too much sun, drink lots of water, and try to avoid doing any kind of strenuous activity through the hottest parts of the day, and we'll all get through this just fine. Also, please check on neighbors and friends, especially the elderly. Make sure that their air conditioning is working right, that they've got water, that they're doing okay. That's oftentimes what ends up when we have these heat-related deaths, oftentimes it tends to be elderly people who were alone and got overheated and there was no one checking on them. So please check in on friends and neighbors, especially the elderly. All right, just trying to read through some of the questions now. Some folks again asking about whether or not their specific location will get flooded. If you get rain, Probably so. It's gonna be scattered, so I can't, I'm not gonna guarantee that everybody would get flooded. But we've had so much heavy rain recently, everything is just already primed. Like we're out of places to put this water at this point. So if you get any rain whatsoever, especially any heavy rain, that flooding is going to re-trigger really easily. So especially if you're in an area that's already dealt with flooding in the past couple of days, be on high alert for it as we go through the day tomorrow, because if you get any kind of thunderstorm, you're probably going to flood again. Now you may dodge it, but if you get hit with a thunderstorm, there's a good chance you're going to flood, which is why we are on alert for flooding tonight and tomorrow. Some folks asking about an overnight weather threat. I'm thinking we're probably all going to be okay to go to bed tonight. Let me go up and bring us back around to the severe weather threats here, just to catch us all up in case any of you missed anything. So here are the current watches. They have canceled the watch for areas north of the tri-state. I know we had some folks from Vincennes watching up into Clay, Richland, Lawrence, Knox, Davies, Martin. The storms are weakening, and the watch has been allowed to expire for you. It is still in effect for Edwards, Wabash, Gibson, Pike, and Dubois counties because that's where the storms are still headed. So that atmosphere is a little bit untapped. So they've let the watch go there for now until the storms move through. The flooding threat is more widespread. Pretty much everyone north of the Ohio River is under a flood watch tonight and tomorrow, but Western Kentucky, don't think that means you're totally in the clear. With the kind of rainfall rates we've been seeing here recently, if you get any kind of downpour from one of these thunderstorms, there's a chance you're going to flood. So Western Kentucky, flooding possible there as well. It just that the northern half of the tri-state is at a greater risk, especially tonight, since that's where most of the rain is going to be, but then into tomorrow as well. So these are the thunderstorms that we're tracking. Again, they're just to the northern edge of the tri-state there, just starting to get a little thunder in Wabash County, it looks like, but these are moving to the southeast. So you can see this line of thunderstorms has been working its way to the southeast all night long. And so as these come down, they're going to cut through southwest Indiana. So especially those areas that I just listed off that were included in that watch, that's where those storms are going to cut through. And then parts of Vanderburgh, Warwick, Spencer, Perry may also get some thunderstorms as the night goes on, but it really looks like the storms will probably be weakening by then. You're not currently under a watch, but you may get some thunder, some heavy rain, some lightning, things like that. Our overall severe weather threat is low when we're talking about things like hail, tornadoes, etc. The risk of anything like that is very low. The main emphasis is really on the flooding, but it is possible within some of these thunderstorms, especially along the leading edge, that you could even see an isolated damaging wind gust. And some of these have been producing outflow boundaries. Let me pull this. We're going to do a little real-time tracking here. Let me pull this up, and I'm going to actually change the, if I can read it here, I'm going to change the sensitivity on this radar and bring it up a little bit and see, you can see that bright green line there showing up. That's that outflow boundary. So even before the rain hits in parts of Wayne, Edwards, and up into Wabash County, you're probably already getting some strong winds. With this outflow boundary, you're going to feel the wind really pick up, and then a little bit later the rain moves in because we've got this outflow boundary out ahead of that. So you may get some gusty winds. So far they haven't been strong enough to cause any real damage, but you will feel the winds pick up and then the rain move through behind that as we do have these outflow boundaries developing. All right, let me see if I've got any other questions here. Derek asking, can Gibson County really handle much more rain? The flooding has been a real problem the past couple of days, and in some areas maybe not, but there's nothing we can do about it. You're probably going to get some anyway, so just do what you can, be prepared, and if you know of an area that is flooding, just try to avoid it. Don't drive down that street. We don't want people stalled out and having to be rescued from their cars. Mary, there is a chance of rain in Muhlenberg County Monday morning. It'll be iffy at best. If you have outdoor plans, I would definitely make a backup plan. Kevin asking if this is the first time for a first alert week. I don't think so. We've done some of these longer alert day stretches before for things like this, for long heat waves, long stretches of cold. Just this past winter, I don't know if we got all the way up to a whole week, but it would have been close, where we had the snow and then that extreme cold snap, and it got real cold, and then we had another round of snow kind of back to back, and we ended up with a whole slew of alert days side by side. So it doesn't happen very often. Usually it's kind of one standalone day that it's like, hey, on this day, the weather's going to be really concerning. Watch out for this one specific day. And that is just not the case this week. Instead, this week, we've got flooding and thunderstorms and heat, and then even when the flooding and thunderstorms stop, we've still got more heat. And so that's how we end up with, this is what he's talking about. And that's how we end up with a whole week of first alert weather days, because we're on alert for the flooding and thunderstorms along with some heat tomorrow. But then especially as we go through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, we remain on alert, not for the storms, but for the heat, because those heat index values could get up around 105 to 108 through the second half of this week, and that can be really dangerous. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope I've answered everybody's questions. Again, the main overnight concern for thunderstorms is on the northeastern end of the tri-state, but we do have scattered storms in the forecast throughout the day tomorrow for the entire region. So throughout the whole day tomorrow, wherever you're going to be, whatever you're going to be doing, just be keeping an eye on the radar. If you go to the 14 First Alert app, there's a tab there for the radar where you can see where the storms are right now, and you can even hit play on it and it'll loop them so that you can see how they're moving, which direction they're moving, and how quickly. And obviously we'll be bringing you updates throughout the entire day. So Byron's actually not here tomorrow. Michael will be on 14 News Sunrise tomorrow with your forecast, and I'll be back on at 11 and noon in the 2:30 stream, and then Jeff will be on in the evening. The whole gang will be here bringing you updates all day long. But whatever plans you have tomorrow, just please make sure you have a backup plan, somewhere to move indoors and shelter if there is a thunderstorm. And keep in mind, it may be some very heavy rain and flooding as well. Flooding is the main threat with these thunderstorms. And then through the rest of this entire week, just please be careful and be very conscious of how hot it is out there. Take it seriously. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer in America year after year. Heat is #1, flooding is #2. And both of those are things that we're on alert for this week and that people tend to not take seriously enough. So please drink your water, don't drive through any flooding, and just do your best to stay safe out there, and we'll do our best to keep you informed. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Everybody have a great rest of your night, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. If you're still awake at 10, join us for 14 News at 10.